Yo, what is up, Comfy Gang? It's your boy Company. So, obviously, I haven't been doing too well with my upload schedule that I wanted to adhere to. So, I will have to upload another video in the next 12 hours and then one on Sunday if I want to avoid paying for Discord Nitro. So, sorry if I end up spamming your feeds with my long, ranty videos. But, anyways, I sort of wanted to segue from the fact that I'm not living up to what I promised and stuff like that, and that's probably because of my lack of energy, and that sort of inspired me to talk about today's topic, which is basically to give what, in my opinion, is the best advice for younger NEETs out there. And when I say younger NEETs, you might be thinking, hey Comfy, aren't you a quote-unquote younger NEET? And the answer to that would be yes, I technically am fairly young, but I am starting to hit the age where I'm starting to be considered an adult now, even more so than in my early 20s. And obviously things are getting a little bit scarier now, and I'm starting to feel that mounting pressure. And at the same time, I also do feel like I have enough life experience to be giving this advice, because I have been living this lifestyle fairly long term for 3 to 4 years now, probably 4 by now. I can't do the calculations, but with that in mind, I feel like I definitely have enough perspective, and I definitely have lived this lifestyle long enough to be giving advice, and also have my own share of things that I've learned and regrets that I want to basically talk about. And obviously there's so many things that I could talk about in this video, but to keep the time limited, I will just focus on probably the one main thing, and then maybe talk about a few other things if there's still time, if this video isn't too long. So anyways, basically my biggest piece of advice for younger NEETs out there, NEETs aged 18 to 21, and even NEETs in their teenage years, that especially applies to them even more. And that advice would be just to try at life. And I know society is shit. Society is shit. People are fucking cunts, and normies are all fucking assholes, and capitalism sucks, and all that. I sort of half and half agree with that, because part of me is a sort of nihilistic doomer, and part of me is sort of this positive, happy bloomer. But to that I would say, don't do it for society. Don't try to improve for society. Do it for yourself first and foremost, because honestly, regardless of what society expects of you, I do feel like for most people, and I'm obviously speaking from my own personal experience, so not everything I say is going to generalize to everybody equally, but I do feel like there are a lot of people out there who can relate to what I'm saying, and also I can relate to a lot of other people out there who have, because I feel like I have been in a similar position to them. And for the longest time, I honestly believed that I was shit at everything, and I partly still do, but I also have surprised myself in how far I have gone as far as the many hobbies I've pursued. And I do feel like that I have improved a lot from since I started, boxing, for example, making music and all that stuff. But for the longest time, I honestly believed that people were basically born with innate sets of abilities and talents, and that talented people would basically be able to reach expert levels of playing within, I don't know, maybe a month or two of playing. Whereas, if you found something hard as a kid, then, chances are it probably wasn't meant for you. You were not meant to do it. You're not talented. If you put have effort into it, then it's probably just a waste of time. But what I realized was that even though I am still shit at pretty much everything I've put tried my hands at, I would say that I'm infinitely less shitty than when I first started. I'm honestly surprised myself as to how much progress I've made in all these different fields. And regardless of whether you're talented or not, even if you're not talented at all at something, but you do put in the effort into it, you will make progress. And that progress just might be slower, or it might be not as much in the end, but you still will make progress. And that will put you miles ahead of everybody else. And that's besides the point, because you should honestly just do this for yourself and not compare yourself to other people, because you will feel this deep sense of satisfaction when you put a lot of effort into something and push through those times where things just feel like crap, and you're just a beginner and everything seems difficult, and you will feel this sense of satisfaction that you're able to do things that you previously couldn't do. You will feel this it will sort of bolster your sense of identity and give you at least even a tiny bit of self-esteem, which I once didn't have. I also didn't have a sense of identity at all as a kid, and I feel like my hobbies are sort of what gave my life meaning and purpose and identity. And even though everything is meaningless and all that, yeah, I get it, but at the end of the day, it's pointless just believing that stuff, when basically human beings are infinitely happier when they believe that they have meaning, when they believe that they have purpose. And having a hobby is a good way to achieve all these things. And I'd say that you just have to try different things out there. And if you find nothing out there truly interesting, then honestly, just at least try cutting out all of the internet and the video games and things that you find distracting, because you might think that you're doing these things because they make you happy. But in reality, the reason you think they're making you happy is because, firstly, you never experienced true happiness or satisfaction doing anything. And secondly, you sort of conflate the numbing effect of addictive behaviors have on your negative emotions with happiness. And obviously numbing is infinitely better than shitty emotions, but in some ways it isn't, because these shitty emotions do sort of push you towards behaviors that actually make you happy. And I feel like these addictive behaviors definitely get in the way of that. And yeah, and so you should, and I feel like once you get rid of them, you might start to, try different things and eventually find something that is meaningful to you, and be able to better orient yourself in terms of your hobbies and your goals, and just work your way around the world better when you are not so mentally drained by all of the useless distractions out there, like social media, video content, video games, music, etc. Well, not music per se, but excessive listening to it as a cope, I guess. Anything in excess, basically. And basically consumption. And yeah, so yeah, just try a lot of different things. And when you eventually, and also the reason I stress this to younger NEETs specifically is because with hindsight, I sort of realized that even though in my early 20s, late teens, and even my teenage years, I always thought that I didn't have a lot of energy, that I didn't have a lot of willpower, and I didn't have drive to do things. But with hindsight, I sort of, comparing the way I feel now to the way I felt before, I actually do realize that I had so much more energy, so much more drive to do things. But the reason I wasn't productive at all was that all of my drive and energy was misdirected to all these distracting activities, which I talked about before. And because of that, I mistakenly believed that I was a low energy, low drive individual who wasn't capable of accomplishing anything. But I regret that, because if I had actually spent the time and invested all of that energy and focus into things that were meaningful to me, then I do believe that I would have made so much more progress. And I'm telling you that obviously this isn't going to apply to everybody out there, but I know that there are people out there like me who at that age think that they don't have what it takes to succeed in this world. And I'm telling you that you are probably mistaken, and you should honestly just try and improve like I am. I wish I knew these things much earlier, because I would have had a much bigger head start in life. And, you know, the bad part of me kind of feels shitty, you know, because misery loves company. Part of me doesn't want to tell this advice to people, because it makes me feel better that, you know, why should I give other people a head start? Shouldn't other people suffer like me? But I don't know, part of me does realize that that's a shitty way to live, and that honestly, you honestly don't realize the extent to which you can impact your life by just, you know, sticking to something and doing it. Not every day. You don't even have to do it every day like they say in all those self-improvement videos. You just have to try at it on and off for for years, especially better if you're a teen, but you know, even in your late teens, and you will get better at it. That is without a doubt. And you will become it will serve your life in a lot of different ways. And you know, it might just give you that chance to escape either NEETdom and eventual homelessness, or the usual route of wage cuckery, wage slavery, which leaves so many people just equally unhappy, meaningless, living meaningless lives, doing meaningless shit, tedious shit for hours and hours and hours, and then basically doing what they would have done as a NEET in order to cope with the dread of going back to work and all that. And I would say, just, you know, you can honestly, there isn't a way out of that. And at my age, I'm still trying to figure out whether it's still possible for me to escape that. But for younger NEETs out there, you definitely, I'm telling you 100%, you have a chance, a very real chance of escaping NEETdom and of escaping wage cuckery and ascending like I wish to, but I'm on the fence about, because I am reaching that point where, you know, I am starting to get a bit old, and wage cuckery being realistic might be the only thing that I have left for me. But I'm telling you, at your age, you can still dream, and you can still accomplish a lot of different things. And also at that age, it's not just your energy that is heightened, but it's also your ability to learn. Obviously, learning is more optimized, especially in your teenage years. I think you're primed to learn certain things as a child, but you're probably equally as malleable as a teenager. But because of the cognitive enhancements that come with adolescence, and the rapid proliferation of your neurons, and the killing off of, what's it called, the pruning of unnecessary connections in your brain, you become more and more primed for learning. So if you're a teenager, just, I'm telling you, get off your ass and do something for yourself. Just work for yourself, and you have a very realistic chance of not living a shitty life like 99% of the people on this planet do. And but even if you're not a teen, even if you're 18 or you're 21 even, you still have a good I'm not going to say the amount, let's just say 5 to 10 years before you reach my age. And that's plenty of time to become a master at something, or at least lay the foundation for you to eventually become really good at something that you're passionate about and can make a living off of. And that's honestly what, in my opinion, is the definition of ascending, is to be able to survive and thrive doing something you enjoy. And yeah, that's honestly my advice, because you are still yeah, I'm rambling at this point. What other advice do I have? I kind of talk about cutting off useless activities like video games. I guess my other piece of advice would be, just try going to school if you're able to. If you're not, then obviously my condolences, but you never know, since thinking back, I do realize that everybody was much more open socially, and while people sort of are more discerning socially, that gets harder. It gets harder and harder. Mistakes become less and less permissible in the social world as you grow older, and people sort of expect you more and more to be neurotypical and more socially savvy. And if you don't learn these skills when you're younger, it becomes more and more punishing to try and learn, even though it's not impossible, but it becomes infinitely more stigmatizing to make mistakes when you're my age and older beyond that. And I would say that, yeah, you sort of, yeah, as much as I know it feels scarier when you're younger, but now that some of my neuroticism has gone away, I sort of wish that I had made a lot of those mistakes that I would have made that I should have made when I was younger, so I could have learned from them. And also, I'm telling you that it is, I feel, infinitely easier to make meaningful friendships when you're younger too. So there's that. Basically, in a nutshell, the theme of this video should be that with hindsight, you sort of realize year by year, and probably eventually decade by decade, that it would have been so much easier for you to change your life when you were younger. I've got 40-year-old relatives saying the exact same thing to me, and I didn't believe them. And I'm sure that they're going through the exact same thing, thinking that being in your early mid-20s is really young. And I'm telling you that being in your teens is definitely, teens and early 20s is even younger. So yeah, and shit will just get harder. It'll be harder to break out of patterns as time passes on. So, and I'm telling you that the chances of me succeeding are moderate to low, but the chances of you succeeding, if you do what I'm doing right now as a NEET in their early teens and in their late teens, even especially in your early teens, but in your teens to your early 20s, is infinitely higher than mine. So you should honestly just try and go for it, and at least try to live a meaningful life, because if you end up failing, which is a real possibility, then at least you won't have that regret of not having tried. And also, all of the copes and useless shit will not only just be there, but they will be infinitely better in the future. So let's say you miss out on Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, fucking, I don't know, like 4 or whatever, Black Ops bullshit, or your favorite video game that you wanted to play, your favorite RPG. Well, guess what? Video games are only going to get much better. Movies and sound are only going to improve the technology and remain relatively affordable. As much as capitalism does get bashed and it's not a perfect system, the copes are getting cheaper and cheaper if you just look at it from an objective point of view. And that's both a good and a bad thing, but for an Eldar NEET, that's definitely a good thing. And all that shit will not only be there, but will be infinitely better. And you could always just play the old games that you missed out on things like emulators, emulating technologies, or just way advanced machines in the future with much better performance. So anyways, that is pretty much all the advice that I have to give to younger NEETs. I hope this video, helps somebody get off their ass and actually, ascend like I wish to do. And I know I guess in reality, I'm not in the best position to give advice, but I hope this does help somebody out there at the very least. So this is Company. signing out, and expect a video pretty soon.